quick shout out to our patron, Leo Vanimates. Remember those old stick figure fights on YouTube? Well, Leo is bringing new life into that genre with their animations. They are not to be taken lightly. Despite the short duration of their videos at the moment, they really put love and care into their projects. They're animated so fluidly and have genuine weight to them, which is crazy considering I'm talking about stick figures. And like all artists, Leo is only going to get better from here. So why not swing by their channel and subscribe? Link in the description. If you want to be a sponsor of ours, head to patreon.com/roundtablevids and pledge our $50 tier. My fellow Star vs. the Forces of Evil fans, were you also heartbroken when Bullfrog, his kids, and a few other monsters parted ways with Star at the end of his Another Mystery? It wasn't just me. While the execution could have been better, I feel there's great significance and implications to Bullfrog leaving, and why he left. I don't believe we have the full story here. Let's talk about it today on Mewni Mayhem. Welcome back to Mewni Mayhem on the Roundtable. I'm AwestruckVox, and guys, I gotta be honest, the most recent episodes of Star weren't anything too extraordinary. I felt His Another Mystery was extremely by the numbers, and overall, very weak. For an episode that sends off Bullfrog, at least for now, as will certainly be back, it just came across as if they didn't really care. Maybe it's because we know he'll be back, but if you ask me, that's no reason to tone down the dramatics. There was no build-up, and for an episode named after the first incredible solo Bullfrog episode, the spotlight and focus was really just more shipping drama. Will Tom and Star stay together? Is Tom a good boyfriend and a better assistant than Marco? Bullfrog didn't deserve to be sidelined for will they won't they nonsense. Why are you doing him dirty like that? Granted, I did appreciate Tom's moment at the end, acknowledging that he is half monster, and while he doesn't completely understand their struggles, when he's out there on the streets, he's just like them. It's not like he necessarily acts or dresses like royalty. He's very casual in his appearance. This led to instances like the beginning of Starfari, where he's profiled and almost kicked out of the Mewni marketplace until he's recognized. Still, that moment didn't save the all-around weird pacing and execution of this episode's events, especially with how out of nowhere the departure was. You think Bullfrog of all characters would be headstrong and willing to tough things out a little longer and help Star reach a breakthrough. He was appointed the new monster expert on Mewni not too long ago, working in the castle with everyone else. We didn't even get to see that. No small cameos, appearances in passing. This episode was our first look at his office, but at that point, he was already halfway out the door. Or dimension. Once you take into account it's been about 3 episodes since the events of Monster Bash, the other monsters leaving now doesn't feel natural either. That's not to say they aren't justified in their actions. If you're not comfortable and no longer feel safe in an environment, you should definitely get out of there if the efforts to seek change are ineffective. The problem isn't the decisions made by the characters, it's solely how the narrative went about it. As if Bullfrog leaving was a plot point they had jotted down in the season outline, and the writers didn't know how to properly build up to it. It just could have been a lot better. Mini review out of the way, let's get to what you all clicked on for, the importance of Bullfrog leaving, and what unfortunate circumstances it alludes to. Bullfrog's character arc has been one of the more interesting out of Star's cast. He went from the typical henchman, although very intelligent, to someone who not only befriends our protagonist, but becomes one in the process. Star, Marco, and his babies touched him, changing his point of view and his morals. He wants the best for his family and all monsters, but he will never go about it in a violent manner, not any longer. I point out the lack of a violent approach because a common theme in the serialized animated series is history repeating itself. We've seen it in Gravity Falls, we're seeing it in Steven Universe, and you better believe we're seeing it here in Star vs. the Forces of Evil. What I'm referring to with Star are the wars waged between humans and monsters. Humans were at a severe advantage against the monsters, possessing not only weapons, but more importantly, magic. These battles led to the current situation of monsters in the kingdom, self-contained in a village and highly discriminated against for no good reason. They are truly the real victims, and Star's actively seeking to rectify this issue. Yet, the Mina Loveberry incident at the Monster Temple was the last straw. I could only imagine how the monsters must have felt, being invited to a shindig intended to promote positivity and healthy relations between both parties, only to be assaulted, kidnapped, and then unfairly profiled and arrested. If it wasn't for Star intervening, demanding they be let go, and refusing to let the humans have special treatment, the monsters would have spent the night in the slammer, if not longer, for no genuine reason. To once again draw attention to the miscellaneous monsters leaving with Bullfrog, word of the incident surely must have spread throughout the village, indicating this moment at the end of another mystery was a heavily discussed decision between the inhabitants. And within this decision is a very nasty, bothersome truth that I'm not sure Bullfrog is aware of or even considered, one that spells trouble for Mewni Kingdom and its neighbors. The monster village has to be aware of Bullfrog's role as monster expert, that he's on good terms with Moon and the rest of the royal family. So to a good bulk of them, they can go off the assumption that he and his family receive special treatment, which, if Tom, who's a prince, gets flack for hanging around, I can tell you Bullfrog gets his fair share of troubles just commuting on a daily basis. Whatever issues and misconceptions Tom faces, Bullfrog must deal with cranked up to an 11. Thus, in the eyes of the remaining monsters, with that assumption of Bullfrog's special treatment in mind, they'd go behind his back and refrain from giving him too many details of their plans and decisions, fearing they'd be outed to Moon and River by him. Well, what would they have to hide? To be blunt, I don't believe in the slightest that those who remain in the village are just going to sit around and hope things get better. They want to be treated better, and frankly, the gentle sitting around approach hasn't been working out for them. That only leaves them with one other option, getting the respect they deserve by force. With Bullfrog gone, so is a strong voice of reason and sensibility, leaving someone else to rise up and empower the monsters with the fierce fire needed to overthrow the castle once more. I have reason to believe that in the past, this leader would have been Toffee. We were unaware of his motives to dispose of magic, and the direction he was headed after his revival, but I have an idea. Again, something humans have over monsters time after time is magic. We see magic utilized everywhere throughout the series, and even upkeep things such as the royal family wand, and even the bureaucracy of magic. It is the greatest attribute in battle to many characters throughout the series. Just being on the fritz throughout season 2 threw everything out of whack, putting a lot of powerful people at a disadvantage. When magic was completely disposed of, it would have allowed Toffee to gather up the oppressed monsters and cause them to rise against Mewni, overthrowing Moon and River and instating a new era. Toffee was going to finish the battle started hundreds of years ago, at a great cost of overthrowing the balance of the universe. So with him gone, at least for now, because I just have such a strong feeling that lizard is coming back, who shall take his place? Who will lead the monsters into a brand new rebellion? Well, I have a hunch it will be none other than Meteor Butterfly, who's still missing after the events of the episode Monster Bash, but we know for sure she'll return in Tough Love. As its synopsis reads, Eclipsa and Moon bring Princess Meteora home peacefully after the massive destruction she's caused. The destruction in question, I believe, occurs in the upcoming episode Schooled, which seems to be focused on Ponyhead. But as we're headed back to St. Olga's Reform School for Wayward Princesses, for the first time since the grand reveal, and those episodes always feature Meteora heinous in some capacity, following up on her character arc makes the most sense in this episode. The Ponyhead framing device is just to catch viewers off guard, so Meteora's dynamic interest is more explosive and sinister than anticipated. I'll save further elaboration for a future video discussing Tough Love more in depth, but for now, let's say it does make sense for Meteora to be the new leader of a monster rebellion. The events of this episode beyond a surface level sets the groundwork as to why the monsters would go along with Meteora and follow her plan. With Bullfrog out of the equation, it puts them in the clear for when this conflict transpires. Star may mention prior to Moon that Bullfrog left Mewni seeking better opportunity, a home where he can be treated equally, making his inevitable return that much more triumphant, as he did insinuate that as a spy, he'll know when things get better for monsters. Unfortunately for everyone, him leaving may have done more harm than good. That being said, Bullfrog will come back sooner than later. I anticipate he'll make way in the season finale, swooping in to save everyone when things go awry. Again, the lack of a real emotional and properly paced send-off tells us he won't be gone for long, just long enough for his absence to mean something and advance the plot ever so slightly. And if there's any doubt that a monster rebellion is brewing and on the brink of sparking, allow me to remind you that the 1-hour season finale constitutes a 2 episodes titled Divide and Conquer. I don't know about you, but for an episode to be titled Conquer tells me that something massive is going down. What else will be conquered beyond the Kingdom of Mewni by the monsters? If you ask me, I'm hard pressed to think of anything. On that note, this is where I turn the conversation to you. Really, what would the title Conquer be referring to that isn't Mewni? Do you agree that the monsters may rise up against the Kingdom of Mewni? When do you think Bullfrog will return? Also, how did you feel about the episode episode is another mystery. Did you like it? Was it enjoyable? Or are you in the same boat as me? That the episode wasn't bad, but it wasn't good either. Just very bland and by the numbers for something as huge as Bullfrog departing from the show's narrative, even if temporary. That they made it too obvious he'll be back by not putting their best foot forward. Please leave your thoughts in the comments below or tweet them directly to me at AwestruckVox or at the Roundtable on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all at Roundtable Vids. If you want to help us grow, become a member of the Roundtable on Patreon. For just $3, you can get access to scripts, our avatars, exclusive updates, and have your name featured at the end of the video just like all these wonderful people. For a higher tier, we'll even shout your channel, webcomic, or anything in between. Link in the description. Moving on from Is Another Mystery, next up we'll be focusing on the importance of the episode Marco Jr. and how that not only plants a seed in the narrative, but discussing what the heck is up with Marco too. Be sure to stay tuned for that. If you enjoyed this video, please sort to like, share, and if you're new here, subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications to stay in the loop with all things Star, and have updates sent right to your device whenever we post a new episode. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a beautiful day. AwestruckVox, out.